Churchill's confidence and independence mark him as a Type 8, a challenger on the Enneagram scale. As you will see, the choices he made throughout his life show his aggressive nature at work.
Why, hello there! You see, today I've just been thinking about great leaders. And today I also want to talk about Winston Churchill, an extremely aggressive and strong-willed man who led Great Britain in a time of dark and terrible troubles.
As a child, Churchill's aggressive personality was clear during his time in boarding school. He was strong-willed and independent. As a man of prominence from birth, he quickly learned to become egocentric and entitled. As a result, when Churchill went to boarding school, he fit in poorly and was beaten more than once for his blatant refusal to behave according to the school standards. In one particular instance, Churchill stole sugar from the dining hall and was beaten as a consequence. So in retaliation, Churchill destroyed the straw hat of the teacher who beat him.
Yes, Winston Churchill's childhood. He was a very angry child and a total badass.
Churchill was in South Africa.
During early adulthood, Churchill failed to get into British politics, so instead he went to South Africa as a journalist. However, while traveling to the front lines of the war in South Africa, his train was unexpectedly ambushed by Boer soldiers. Churchill could not resist his challenging nature and took charge of the revolt amongst civilians with his illegally concealed firearm. Churchill led the passengers to safety. However, he himself was captured and placed in a prisoner of war camp. Only a month later, Churchill made a daring escape from the prison and walked nearly 300 miles through South Africa to find refuge. Certainly, Churchill played by his own rules and had infallible determination.
Declaration were included these memorable passages. Here before us, on this cable, lie the title deeds of 10 nations or states whose soil has been invaded and polluted, and whose men, women, and children lie prostrate or writhing under the Hitler yoke. A vile race of quislings use a new word which will carry the scorn of mankind down the centuries. Is hired to fawn upon the conqueror, to collaborate in his design, and to enforce his rule upon their fellow countrymen while groveling low themselves. Such is the plight of once glorious Europe, and such are the atrocities against which we are in arms. It is upon this foundation that Hitler, with his tattered lackey Mussolini at his tail, and Admiral Darlan frisking at his side, pretends to build out of hatred, appetite, and racial assertion a new order. It will not be by German hand that the structure of Europe will be rebuilt, or the union of the European family achieved. In every country into which the German armies and the Nazi police have broken, there has sprung up from the soil a hatred of the German name and a contempt for the Nazi creed, which the passage of hundreds of years will not efface from human memory. We cannot yet see how deliverance will come, or when it will come. But nothing is more certain than that every trace of Hitler's footsteps, every stain of his infected and corroding fingers will be sponged and purged, and if need be, blasted from the surface of the earth. This then, my lords and gentlemen, is the message which we send forth today to all the states and nations, bond or free, to all who care for freedom, all our allies and well-wishers in Europe, to our American friends and helpers drawing ever closer in their might across the ocean. This is the message. Lift up your heart. All will come right out of the depths of sorrow and of sacrifice. We'll be born again to the glory of mankind.
After the Nazis began to annex big chunks of Europe, Churchill knew he needed the United States to fight against a German advancement. So as a result of his aggressive nature, he began to blackmail Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the President of the United States. Churchill threatened FDR, stating that if he did not ally with Great Britain, Churchill would give command of the British Navy, the best navy in the world at the time, to Germany. Although it was a very bold move by Churchill to threaten the US president, FDR was also aggressive enough to call Churchill's bluff.
It seems today all you see is violence in movies and sex on TV. But where are those good old-fashioned values on which we used to rely? Lucky there's a family guy. Lucky there's a man who positively can do all the things that make us laugh and cry. He's a family guy.
In another instance during World War II, Churchill knew that Great Britain must keep control of the seas and not Nazi Germany. Churchill openly stated that if the French were too weak to keep control of their own naval forces and out of Germany's hands, then Churchill must destroy the entire French fleet himself. Churchill did indeed send British air and sea forces to destroy the French fleet, even though French ships were still in port. Thus, Churchill acted upon France long before the Germans had even reached France. Only Churchill's aggressive nature would find it acceptable to destroy Allied forces who were completely on his side.
Here in Siberia, Russia, Churchill demanded to meet Stalin more so than any Prime Minister of Great Britain had ever done before.
Over the course of World War II, Churchill made some unexpected and bold diplomatic moves. Most shockingly, Churchill personally met with Stalin, the dictator of the Soviet Union, 5 times in only 3 years. This was plainly aggressive, as Churchill traveled into a potentially hostile and dangerous country. Furthermore, the Soviet Union was behind Nazi-controlled Europe to talk to a dictator that Churchill intensely disliked. Why did Churchill do this? Simply to win the war.
As you have seen, Churchill's innately aggressive behavior would classify him as a Type 8 personality, the challenger, according to the Enneagram scale. His assertiveness and decisiveness was exactly what the people of Great Britain needed during the uncertain and terrifying time of World War II. Churchill was not a typical politician. He was kind of a madman, and his aggressiveness led him to make bold and important decisions that kept Britain alive during this horrific time.
I expected the Battle of Britain is about to begin. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields. I expected the Battle of Britain is about to begin. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be, until in God's good time, the new world with all its power and might. We shall never surrender. Upon this battle depends the survival of Christian civilization. Upon it depends our own British life. We shall never surrender. I expect that the Battle of Britain is about to begin. Upon this battle depends the survival of Christian civilization. Upon it depends our own British life and the long continuity of our